European Union leaders have adopted a declaration on how to manage migration and save lives along the central Mediterranean route. It comes after an informal summit in the Maltese capital Valletta on Friday. Prior to the meeting, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini said there were differences between the EU's approach to migration compared to US President Donald Trump's extreme vetting policy. Libya's Prime Minister Fayez Serraj also highlighted cooperation as the best way to tackle the irregular flow of migration from Libya into Europe.
We have underlined the necessity of cooperation between Libya and the EU to better control the country's southern borders and the influx of migrants. We have also talked in detail about the necessity to reinforce security to put an end to human trafficking. This memorandum of agreement constitutes the start, and we will continue to work in the future to fight against this burden.
A quick update on that story now, and Mariam Zaidi is joining me from Malta. Mariam, can you talk us through the highlights of discussions at the summit today?
Hi, Beatrice. Well, getting a deal on migration with Libya was at the heart of the summit here in Valletta. That declaration is now signed, so goal achieved. The idea behind the Libya deal is to replicate the results of a deal with Turkey that cut down arrivals into Europe on the eastern Mediterranean route by 98%. Just to give you an idea of numbers, 181,000 made the journey into Europe along the central Mediterranean route in 2016, and 90% of those departures were from Libya. Now, once the EU can move in, they can hit hard at smuggler networks and illegal trafficking routes. They will help to train, equip and support Libya's National Coast Guard and, importantly, help manage the Libyan camps where refugees and migrants are held.
Well, Mariam, a good start there, though. But what are the challenges when it comes to this deal with Libya?
Well, the answer to that lies in the question of whether it is right to do a deal with a war-torn country. Rule of law is barely functioning there. Libya has a tribal culture and smuggling of migrants is big business. The average price for a single crossing is between $500 and $1,000. The EU is essentially delegating the handling of migration to Libya, a country that hasn't signed the 1951 Geneva Convention on Refugees. Oxfam has called it a death blow to Europe as champions for human rights. But speaking at the press conference that was held just a few hours ago, the Maltese Prime Minister Joseph Muscat, whose country was pushing strongly for this deal, said he understands the pitfalls of this deal. But the goal is to stop smugglers and traffickers and stop people risking their lives. And then the next phase will be to help people come to Europe safely.
Well, a separate focus, though, Mariam, and the British Prime Minister Theresa May is also at that European Union Migration Summit. How focused are European leaders, though, on the Brexit at this summit?
Well, absolutely not. But ahead of the summit, the European Council President Donald Tusk set the tone with a pre-summit letter to heads of state. It was kind of a rallying call for the EU27 to show some spirit and come together in the face of Brexit, xenophobia and external threats. In speaking at the same press conference with the Maltese Prime Minister, President Tusk said that the atmosphere today was very promising. He said the EU needs to start looking at its future after Brexit, and it needs to reassert itself in the world order. He said the real challenge, though, will be if the EU can in fact stay together and stop the challenge it's facing from within, from the alt-right. The summit is now continuing with the EU27, and we'll have further updates on that later on. Back to you.
Right, Mariam Zaidi joining us there from Valletta. Now,